Hi guys, it's Ashley back with Loomfinity. I'm here today to show you how to make my version of Mike Wazowski. And in order to create him, you will need about 125 green bands. I'm using the Rainbow Loom Neon Green. And then you'll need approximately 25 to 30 white bands. Also, to do the eye, I have tried many different ways in order to do the eye to get him to look as close as possible. Using a pony bead is way too small, so I purchased these tiny, they look like eyeballs, and they're beads. I found them at Michael's. It's about $2.50 for, I think there's 12 in the actual box, so there's not very many, but I found these there. And if you do not have these on hand, another option to try maybe is to use a googly eye. The ones that I have are too small to actually use on this character. If you see, it doesn't even cover the eye. But if you have some larger googly eyes, you could always use those instead. I have also tried using just bands for the eye, and working out the actual circle portion of the eye with bands is near to impossible, at least for me, to figure out. So if you come up with a way, you could always do it that way as well. But hopefully you'll have access to one of these beads or some way in order to go to Michael's and get them. I don't know if any other crafting stores actually carry them, but this is the one that I think I've found that works the best. Also, in order to create this, the arms, the legs, well, the arms and the feet and the ears can be created on a single loom, but the body itself is, we are going to be using 2 looms, so you will need access to 2 looms in order to create him. Anytime I tried to convert him off to 1 loom and just add on the outside portions of his body to just extend off the single loom, he actually came out square. So I'm not able to actually pull him off of 2 looms, and that's why it's taken me so long to actually post him, because I've been trying to figure out a way to do him on a single loom for those that don't have multiple looms. But in this case, we're just going to go ahead and do the tutorial. A lot of people have been asking for him, so I'm going to go ahead and do it with the 2 looms, and then in the future, if I ever can figure it out, then I will update my tutorial accordingly. So if you want to go ahead and grab your supplies, also if you are using this bead, I'm not sure if you noticed, and then you probably cannot see it in the video, but the hole for the band is so tiny, there's no way to just feed the band through. So in this case, I just grabbed some dental floss out of my bathroom, and I'm going to use this to feed that band on. So go ahead and collect your supplies and we will get started. Okay, the first section that the first piece we're going to work on, I'm going to show you how to create his hand and his arm, and you can do this on a standard configuration loom. And I've already made one, so I'll show you how to make one, and then just pause the video and make a second one. You're going to be using single bands, and you're going to take a single green starting on the top left peg of the loom. You're going to single double, and you're going to come straight down the side of the loom 8 times. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Then we're going to create the fingers and the hand, so we're going to be doing that using our hook. And I'm not sure how this is going to come out, to be honest with you, video wise. I am trying a different angle so I can get some better lighting, and hopefully more of the loom will fit into the image, so we'll see how this is going to come out. So that's why my hands are now coming in from the different side of the loom as opposed to straight on as I normally do. So I am trying to loom sideways, so this will be entertaining for you, I'm sure. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make the fingers. We're going to be doing that using the hook. So you're going to take a single white band, and on your hook you want to create 5 loops. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then you're taking another single white, you're going to double it, and you'll want to feed all of the loops on to your single doubled white and reclaim the other side. And then because this is so many loops, sometimes it'll tend to be a little uneven, so just pinch them and pull out and grab. Then you're going to take a single green, double, and pull your white onto that green. And we're going to do that one more time. So a single green, double, and feed that in place. And leave that on your hook. And we're going to repeat this step 2 more times. So a single white, create 5 loops. Another single white, double, and reclaim the other side. Single green, double it, and another single green, double. And one more time. So single white, create 5 loops. Another single white, double it. Single green, double, and another single green and double. We then want to take a single green, you're going to double it, and we're going to feed the fingers onto this single double band. And this is what you end up with. We are then going to take the hand and you're going to want to hook that to the last peg. Just like that. Once we've done that, we can go ahead and begin looping. So pull back on the fingers, grabbing the bottom 2 bands and bringing those forward. And then just go ahead and loop straight up. Okay, looming sideways is definitely making this a little bit slower, which might be beneficial because I've heard sometimes people go fast. I'm sure I'm one of them. Now, once you've loomed all the way up, just grab a holding hook and put that aside for later. So go ahead and pause the video, make a second hand, and then we can continue on from there. Okay, the next portion that we're going to create, I'm going to show you how to make the foot. So I will show you how to make one and then just pause the video to make a second one. You're coming from the top of the loom with a single green band. You're going to double that and come down once on the center first to center second peg. Taking another green, you're going to double it, going from the center second to center or second left peg. Repeat that from the center second to the second right peg. We're then coming down the left side 2 times with a single double green band. So that's 1 and 2. Repeat that on the right side as well, single double. It's 1 and 2. And then another single double, we're coming down twice in the center. We're then going to take a single green and create our crossover band on the 3rd peg down from the top. So these pegs here in the triangle formation, using a single green, you're going to double it, creating your triangle. And we then want to cap off the bottom 3 using white bands, and you're going to create 5 loops on your peg. If you can't create 5 loops, you can always do 4, but 5 loops makes it smaller to look more like a claw. So we're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm going to do that again in the center. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And another one on the last peg here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's what you should have. We can then begin looping. So I'm going to go in through my capping band, grabbing the bottom 2 bands and bringing those forward. And I'm going to go ahead and loop up to the center second peg. Do the same thing on the right. And these bands right here are going to be really tight. So just be careful not to snap your bands. And then coming up the center. Once we've hit here, we're going to go through grabbing only this bottom single double band and bringing that forward. And then going to loosen this up. And grab my holding hook and remove it. Now, because of the bands being looped 5 times, sometimes you get one band longer than the other because when you pull it off it stretches. So you just want to pinch and adjust the bands so that they're even. And then we are going to set that aside for later. So go ahead and pause the video, make a second foot, and we can continue on. There is one other piece that we need to create in advance, which is his ear. And I will show you how to make one and then just pause the video to make a second. You're going to take a single green and double it, coming from the center or even the left. You can use the left peg. I'll use the left peg. Single double coming down from the first to second peg, taking 2 green bands, coming down from the second to the third. And then we're going to cap that off, creating 5 loops. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're then going to go ahead and loop that up. So go through the cap, grabbing the bottom 2 bands and bringing those forward, and grabbing our single double and bringing that forward. And then I'm going to remove that and set it aside for later. So go ahead and pause the video, make a second ear, and we'll continue on. Okay, now that we have our attachment pieces, we're going to go ahead and convert our 2 looms into one, and we will be using 5 pegs in order to do this. So let me go ahead and pop these off. You're also going to want to place it in the squared configuration. So I'm sure you have a certain way that you place your pegs that work best for you. I don't do very many that require multiple looms, so I don't have a specific way that I put these pegs. I know some people have tricks to attach them the best, but I'm just going to make do here. Okay, so we have 5 rows across, and we're in the squared configuration. Now, all of his main part of his body is 2 double bands, unless I specify otherwise, which he is not triple or single banded in the body. So you're going to start with 2 green bands at the top of your loom. You're going from the second row, first peg, to the center, the third row. So this is row 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So during the tutorial, when I refer to them, this will be 1, this will be second row, third row, fourth row, fifth row. So you're going from the second row, top peg, to the third row, top peg with 2 bands. And I'm going to do the same thing with 2 more green, going from the third to the fourth. I'm then going to take 2 green, going from the first peg on the second row to the second peg on the first row at a diagonal. I'm going to repeat that on the other side from the fourth first peg to the fifth second peg. I'm then going to come down the left side of the loom on the first peg or first row 3 times with 2 green bands. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Repeating that on the 5th row. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Then coming in from the 5th row on the 5th peg to the 4th row on the 6th peg at a diagonal, repeating that on the left. So from the 1st row 5th peg to the 2nd row 6th peg, taking 2 more green from the 2nd row 6th peg to the 3rd row 6th, and from the 4th row 6th to the 3rd row 6th. So you're creating a circle. We then want to fill in all of our center pegs with double green bands. So coming down the 2nd row, just straight down. I'm going to repeat that in the center row. And on the 4th row as well. Now working down into the feet, all we're going to do is these will be single bands. We're going to single double. You're going on the 2nd row from the 6th peg down, and you're just going straight down all the way to the bottom of the loom with single double green bands. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. You're going to repeat that on the 4th row from here on the 6th peg all the way down to the bottom. So single green, double, and we're going all the way down. Just like that. And this is what you should have. Now we're going to go ahead and place our crossover bands. These will be single green bands. You're starting from the 2nd row and you're going from the 1st peg to the 3rd peg straight across. And then I'm going to take another one from the 3rd peg to the 5th peg straight across. I'm going to do that again in the 3rd row. 3rd row from the 3rd to the 1st, and on the 3rd row from the 5th to the 3rd. And again on the 4th row, you push down on your bands from the 1st to the 3rd, and from the 5th to the 3rd. And we're going to do that again on the 5th row, from the 3rd to the 1st, and from the 5th to the 3rd. we're also going to, on the 6th row, on the third row, 6th peg down, we're going to cap that off, creating 3 loops. So 1, 2, and 3. And now we can go ahead and place some of our attachment pieces. So let's go ahead and grab our ears. Your ears are going to be placed, one is on the second row, first peg. I'm confusing myself with all these numbers. And the other one is on the 4th row, first peg. This is why I like doing my stuff on one loom normally. And then for the feet, obviously those will go down on the very bottom of each leg. And the arms are going to be placed on the outside, so the 1st and the 5th row, on the 3rd pegs down. Just like this. And then the last thing that we need to attach is the eye. So I'm going to grab my eyepiece and my green band and my dental floss. Now what I want to do here, I'm sure you've seen this technique in other videos as far as how to feed a band through smaller beads, so you may already know how to do this, but in case you haven't seen it, you're going to take your dental floss and you're going to feed that straight through the bead hole so it comes out on the other side. So now you have your bead strung on to your dental floss. I'm then going to take my band and just feed that dental floss through the band, just like so. So I want the band on one side, the bead on the other. I'm then going to grab my bead and I'm going to hook around and feed it back through the hole. So you don't want to go through this side. I want it to actually come back through the same side it came out. And grab the other end. I then want to grab this piece that I fed through as well as the original side. I'm going to pinch those together and I'm going to slowly feed the band by pulling through the bead. If you pull too fast or too hard, you are likely to cut the band the smaller the hole is. So I'm just going to pull through slowly until I have a hoop loop on each side, and then I'm going to pull my dental floss off. I am then going to take the eye piece and we are going to attach that from the center 2nd to center 3rd pegs. So 1 loop on each peg, just like this. And that is what you should have. Now that everything is in place, we can begin the process of looping. So first we're going to go ahead and loop up his feet. I'm going to go in through the feet and loop straight up to the top of the leg. I'm going to repeat that on the other leg as well. Now I'm going to go through the capping band. I'm going to grab my first 2 bands and I'm going to bring those forward. I'm then going to go back in, grabbing the next 2, bringing those over to the right, and my next 2 are going to go over to the left. I'm then going in through this band here, and the first 2 bands I'm grabbing are going straight up. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, grabbing the first 2. And at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and loom this row straight up. we want to do the outside borders last. I'm going to repeat the same step on the second row, grabbing the first two and bringing those up. And at this point, we're going to go ahead and loom up the center. So I'm going to go in through here. When you grab these bands, try when you hook to have two of the bands on each side of the eye. It is fixable once he comes off the loom, and most likely it will slip anyways. But I just go ahead and do that during the looping process. And then pushing back. Now, if you're not using this bead and you've decided to glue a googly eye on, you would not have to place anything there when we did the eye. You could have just left the green bands and there wouldn't be anything here at all. I'm now going to go back down to the bottom on the left, grabbing the bottom two bands and bringing those up and to the left, and I'm going to go ahead and loop up all the way around this left-hand side. Make sure when you get to the arms, you go all the way through, grabbing the bottom bands. If you saw my Roger Rabbit video, at the end, I missed going through the arm, and when I pulled him off the loom, I had to edit that because his arms fell off. So always make sure you go through the arms. And then going back down on the right, grabbing the bottom two, now that we're up on these two pegs, we are going to go through the ear all the way to the bottom, grabbing only those bottom two bands and bringing them into the center. I'm going to repeat that on this side as well. And now we just need a single green band. We're going to go through the top and create our slip knot. Just like that. And now he is ready to come off the loom. And as you can see, when you pull him off, he kind of buckles in, bows in, so we're going to do some fixing here. So we're going to go ahead and stretch his body out to make it a little more round, straighten out his legs. And as you can see here, his eye just kind of hangs out there, and that's because of the size of the bead and the spring from the bands. So all you have to do here is, remember how we had two from each side of that loop? Mine ended up on each side. I'm just going to push the eye back through there into the center of his face. Now again, if you did not do this specific bead for the eyeball, you would then glue your googly eye on. You want to find the back right here, these two bands, and try to push the back part of the eye evenly through there to help hold it in place. And this bead specifically does take some adjusting, and to be honest, the more it's played with, it's going to pop back out. You'll have to push it back in. But this was the best bead that I could find to actually make him look like Mike Wazowski. So you're just going to want to push it so you end up with it in the center of his face. Just like that. And then you can always flip him over and hide his slip knot band in the back. But this is how you create my version of Mike Wazowski. Don't forget to subscribe for updates on future videos, and I hope you like him.